Warm greetings. I'm Laura, and I'm a physical therapist, a dietitian, and a lifelong athlete. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. In today's video, I want to share a really simple yet effective change that you can make to your running and the way that you think about your running, which will result in faster speeds, more energy at the end of your workouts, and reduced joint pain. I learned the basis of this from some of my track coaches in high school and college, and then I've refined it the last couple decades as a physical therapist. It's basic biomechanics, and it's also just basic running concepts that will allow you to improve your times, reduce your pain, and have more energy. The very first thing that I want you to consider about your arm swing is how much of an elbow bend that you have. Most people will run with a really, really tight elbow bend. The angle between your upper arm and lower arm is really, really tight. And what that does is it's actually going to cause your shoulders to hunch up. And it's also going to reduce your leg swing, which will reduce your speed. So again, this is maybe a source of shoulder pain as well as a source of reduced speed. What we're really looking for is an arm swing that's 90 degrees, a 90-degree angle from the upper arm to the lower arm. And all this is it just means that your arm is always above your belt line. Elbow, wrist is always above your belt line, right near your waist, okay? The other thing that I'd like you to consider about your arm swing is that a lot of people don't use the back part of the arm swing. They only focus on kind of the front part. And I'd like to see a really, really wide, balanced arm swing between the front and the back. And again, just notice how my arms are always above my waistline, always above my belt line, 90-degree angle. So just making sure that when you are swinging that you have just as much of a forward and backward arm swing, an equal amount. And what this does is it allows you to lengthen your stride behind you and to push off a little bit faster. And those two things, again, just bringing your arms down to a 90-degree angle or making sure that your arms are always above your belt line, as well as adding a little bit of backward motion, not just the forward motion, are going to help open up your stride and improve your speed. So, first things first is that where is your elbow in space? It should be about 90 degrees. And the idea is we would always like that elbow to be moving equal amounts backwards and forwards and right near your belt line. Now here's the next thing that's really important and fun to think about. Wasted movement side to side. So many runners waste so many movements in their upper body. What we're trying to do is to get from point A to point B, from where you are in space at this moment in time, moving forward to where the finish line is or where your goal is. Now, what a lot of people will do when they run is they will do some side-to-side motion with their arms. Now, wait a minute. Side-to-side motion is actually a total waste of time if you're trying to get energetically from point A to point B. The most efficient way to get from point A to point B is to move forward. So any side-to-side motion is wasted. Okay, now here's the other thing that I'll see people do a lot of times is they'll have kind of what I call a hitch in their get along. They might do kind of something funky like a little bit of a loop when their arm swing, or like sometimes you'll see a little bit of a kind of a drop of the fist and then a pull back up. Again, those are just wasted movements. All your arm should be doing is reminding your legs that you're moving straight forward, nowhere else. So we're going to look for that arm swing to be in nice and tight to the body, in addition to being above the belt line. Last but not least is what are your wrists doing? What a lot of people will do is they'll tuck their wrists, whether they have them facing down or facing in, is again, that's a wasted motion, okay? And it's going to cause your ankles to do funky things, which is going to cause some knee pain. Another thing that people will do a lot is they'll flare their wrists. So they might have a fairly decent arm swing, but their wrists are flared out to the side. Guess what that does is it causes a lot of stress in your shoulders. And again, it causes your ankles and your knees to do funny things. So if you want to reduce your pain, you actually want your wrists and your arm swing to be moving straight forward as much as possible. And again, to be right about that belt line with equal amounts forward and backwards. How do you practice this? Before you go on a run, find a mirror or find a window outside during the daylight that will reflect back at you. Stand with your feet about hip width apart, one foot in front of the other. And then just spend 30 seconds or a minute working on your arm swing, noticing what you're doing in your reflection, okay? So, starting slow, trying to notice if you're wasting side-to-side movement or notice if your arms are too tight or below your belt line, and just get everything moving in that nice tight manner from point A to point B, forward and backwards. And then you can practice speeding up just a little bit. This is like a strengthening exercise. Your brain's going to begin to learn a new way of moving, and your body is going to get a little bit stronger at this method. And then once you've practiced for 30 or 60 seconds before you go on your actual run, then you have that mental memory and that mental muscle in your body where you can check in throughout the run a couple times and see how your arm swing's doing, getting you from A to B. It's that simple. If you want to run faster, if you want to reduce your pain, and if you'd like to have more energy at the end of your run, start to consider your arm swing.